Previously in Season 1, Yotsuya, an antisocial boy, is summoned as an F-rank hero in another world, by a mysterious man calling himself the Game Master. Along with him, there are 3 more heroes, named Shindo, Hakozaki, and Yuka. On their quest, they meet a holy knight named Kahabel who helped them in completing their mission. Together they were able to complete 4 quests, back in the real world. At home, Yotsuya is wondering when they will be called up as it has been weeks. But just then, he is summoned and reunites with others. They hear a sudden scream and rush to check on the person. It is Tori, the 5th member. The girls look at his outfit and are creeped out. They believe he is a delinquent and plans to stay away from him. The Game Master appears and welcomes Tori. He gives them the 5th quest, in which they have to offer Jiffen Bufo at Vake de Mania within 20 days. They are notified about 2 new updates. First, their revival time has increased to 50 seconds. And second, now they can use fast travel to teleport to any place they have visited before, but can only be used once in a single day. The Game Master then spins the wheel to check Tori's job. Yotsuya prays for him to get a weak character, but he gets a warrior with a specialty in spears. After the Game Master left, Yotsuya decides to first head to Cortinal and asks questions about the quest to Kahabel. Tori is still confused about this whole thing, so Shindo explains it most simply and quickly as possible. Tori is a middle school dropout. He doesn't understand this complicated stuff but agrees to travel with them. However, before proceeding further, he wants to challenge Yotsuya and pay back for the beating he gave him and his brother in the restaurant. Tori charges, but Yotsuya uses his creature's glove to make him kneel. As he tries to land a punch, Tori breaks free from the bind and kicks him. After they are done with this, they teleport to the Cortinal. On their way to meet Kahabel, there is a sudden nervousness since they don't know how many years have passed. Kahabel recognizes the heroes from afar and greets them. Everyone is happy to see her in good health. Kahabel is having mixed feelings, since it has been over 15 years since they last met. Yotsuya is surprised to know the duration. Kahabel introduces her kids and later goes to her mansion. After hearing about the quest, she explains that Jiffen is an island. However, she doesn't know about Bufo and Vake de Mania. It is revealed that Kahabel retired from knights a long time ago. 15 years ago, the Diak Kingdom waged the war despite the measures they took. And during it, she lost one of her hands. After having kids, she felt the joy and difficulty of raising them. And since then she decided to leave her duty as a knight. At night, Kahabel comes to Yotsuya's room. They go outside to talk for a bit. Kahabel holds Yotsuya's hand and reminisces how young they were and how much fun they had. She asks if anyone told him about what happened after he was unconscious from using too much magic. Yotsuya doesn't know. So, Kahabel reveals what was it. She loved him for a very long time, but now she has grown older before him and will be unable to accompany him again. Yotsuya is sad and wonders if this all is just the Game Master's plan. Everyone was listening to it in the hope to hear something interesting, but now they are sad too. Outside the home, a stranger greets them. He introduces himself as Thekus and thanks them for saving him. Hakozaki remembers him and is very happy to see him alive. After it, they head to Jiffen Island. On the ship, a bunch of mercenaries are also accompanying them. After hours, they reach the island. There they are welcomed by Yana and Oyu, who are the ritual dancers of this island. But after knowing they are heroes, not mercenaries, their attitude takes a 180-degree turn. Yotsuya asks about the details of his quest, but he is shut down by them. They will not do anything for free and refuses to cooperate. So he comes up with a plan and promises to fulfill their request as mercenaries. After it, their attitude again changes. They take them to Bufo and explain that Vake de Mania is their island's harvest festival. Yotsuya explains his quest, but Oyu is disappointed to reveal they will not have Vake de Mania this year. In a wooden shed, she takes them there and reveals that the castle is currently inhabited by orcs. For the past 5 years, they have been asking humans to give them Bufo, or else they will eat humans instead. Because they are so strong, the villagers couldn't do much. However, during these 5 years, their number has increased, and it is hard to satisfy their current hunger with the remaining Bufo. And thus they have to cancel the harvest festival. Yotsuya understands his party needs to kill them before the time limit or else the quest will not be complete. However, because of the strength difference, he is unsure if they can defeat the orcs. But despite it, he agrees to help Yana. A mysterious man hears their conversation and immediately heads to the castle to alert the Orc Queen. The next day, the heroes meet Cantle, one of the mercenaries hired to fight against the orcs. He is looking forward to train the heroes. Soon after it, Cantle starts their training and gives them knowledge on how to fight against orcs. After thorough training, the team is formed. Shindo and Tori are in, but the rest are not selected because they are not well suited for close combats and doesn't have long-range skills. Yotsuya is pissed and immediately goes to increase his level. He asks Yana and Oyu about potential monsters on the island. However, he is disappointed to hear that only orcs live here. So he starts improving his farming and chef skills. On the other side, Shindo and Tori are improving their combat skills. While they are training, an orc is watching everyone. Rice, one of the mercenaries, notices him and goes to fight him. Soon the backup arrives. Shindo and Tori try to help but they immediately die. Cantle with other mercenaries exhibit their years of experience and defeat the orc. The villagers are worried, because it is unusual for an orc to leave the castle and come to this area. One of them suspects that there is a traitor who is telling everything to the orcs. Soon after it, there is chaos. People are scared and start blaming Yana and Oyu for hiring mercenaries. Now they will lose money and also their lives. Thanza, one of the mercenaries, steps in and tells everyone to shut up. He was a kid who ran away from the island, but now he has come back stronger. He gives a motivational speech and explains that they have to protect the island no matter what. The villagers are fired up and look forward to killing the orcs. The next day, Yotsuya finally reaches level 10 of his wizard character. The game master arrives and spins the wheel. Yotsuya is excited and hopes for a warrior. However, he gets a blacksmith. He is frustrated and starts blaming the game master that he is purposefully getting him a weak character. Because there is no way anyone can get a 0.5% chance character 3 times. The game master just leaves. Yotsuya looks at his skills and finds that he can create weapons and armor which can be used by anyone. He is introduced to an experienced blacksmith, and quickly starts learning the basics and the process of forging weapons. After hard work, he creates an axe with a stake on it. Looking at the damage, Cantle agrees to use it. Yotsuya then heads to make more for other members. Hakozaki is worried because Oyu told her that he has been working without any rest. Yotsuya explains that it is necessary and he has to do it. Cantle comes to talk, but just then a villager comes in panic and notifies about 3 orcs killing the villagers on the harbor. The mercenaries take on the orcs, however, against the 3 it is difficult. Tori and Shindo do not have a chance against the 3 orcs and immediately die. Cantle arrives to help, however, he is surrounded by them and finds it difficult to take them on. But just then, one of the orcs' heads is pierced. And it is due to Yotsuya's weapon he just created. He loads it again and shoots at one of the orcs' shoulders. After it, the orcs decide to retreat for some time. Thanza brings an injured villager and asks for help. Yotsuya immediately starts healing him. After this sudden ambush, Cantle is very cautious and increases the village's defense. After some time, another 2 orcs come. This time, Rice and Yotsuya distract them, while Hakozaki and Yuka fire the expo. After hitting one of them, Yuka's level increases to level 10, and the game master spins the wheel. She becomes a warrior with a specialty in swords. Yuka is hyped up and uses the expo to defeat the 2 orcs. The next day, another orc appears. This time, Yotsuya goes ahead to try his weapon. But his hit is weak and the orc crushes him. After it, the orc starts throwing rocks at the walls and the building. Everyone is alerted but it's too late, as one side of the wall is taken out. The orcs start to enter. Rice comes from behind but his sword breaks and he is killed. Both Hakozaki and Yuka are terrified. Yotsuya comes and this time he manages to kill the orc. After killing him, he lures the other orc inside the village. With Hakozaki and Yuka, he kills it. Everyone goes to check on Rice, but he cannot be saved. After knowing the reality of this world, everyone is more emotional and bid him farewell. A villager immediately notifies about Rice's death and the wall breach. Tori goes back up. Together they defeat another orc. Upon hearing more orcs starts to appear on the other side, the heroes go to aid the mercenaries. However, they are too late. Many villagers including one mercenary died. 2 of the orcs died, but one of them ran away. Yotsuya with others heads to the castle to fight. On the other side, the queen orc appears. Cantle with Shindo takes her on. They attack the queen, but the damage is not enough. They both hide and plan to attack from the back. As they were about to attack, the volcano starts to erupt. All over the island, there is chaos. At the temple, the ceiling is about to fall, so everyone starts to evacuate the injured people. However, some of them are left behind, including Oyo. On the other side, noticing Shindo is distracted by the volcano, the queen attacks her. After it, she throws her away in the ocean. Shindo is in a panic as she cannot be revived now. She notices the water is receding and understands that tsunami is about to come. Cantal and the Orc Queen also notice it but don't understand the meaning. However, soon tsunami arrives and swept them away. All over the island, people are getting attacked from everywhere. The land is splitting, the lava is flowing, and the tsunami is also arriving. On the other side, Yotsuya, after getting to safety, meets up with Oyo and the injured people who escaped through a safe passage. Yotsuya decides to take down the whole castle as they do not have time to take on the orcs individually. However, the Oyo is against it, because it is their island's pride. After knowing the reality of this world, Yotsuya is now more considerate toward others' emotions. He agrees to not and finds another way to solve it. Just then, a red dragon emerges from the volcano. It is too much for Yotsuya to handle, so he decides to first focus on the orcs. After inspecting the castle, he now knows where the remaining orcs are. He prepares a plan, and with Tori immediately initiates it. They first lure the orcs outside, however, they are too cautious because of the erupting volcano. The next time, with the help of the villagers, they manage to deal some damage. But this time they die. One of the orc eats Tori's leg. Yotsuya is in a panic cause now the legs won't revive. As the orc head back inside, Yotsuya notices an orc kid hanging by him. After reviving, he explains it to Oyo. Oyo freaks out because the kid is a female and the next queen. Every female is capable of producing 100 orcs. And if they are not stopped, the number will multiply rapidly. Yotsuya comes up with a plan. He and Tori get on a trolley filled with lava. Oyo goes to the other side and starts distracting them. While the orcs are distracted, using the trolley, they both attack them. One of the orc dies. Yotsuya snatches the kid and runs away with her. The remaining orc chases after him. Yotsuya throws the kid on the lava, but the orc saves her. However, Yotsuya already had stabbed her. After it, he pushes the orc, and both of them die. Yotsuya understands it is cruel even for orcs, but in order to save the villagers it was necessary. After reuniting, Oyo reveals that strangely their life force has been draining since the dragon arrived. Since the villagers can use a little bit of magic, she can see it going up the top of the mountain. Yotsuya takes out his creature's glove and confirms it. He suspects the red dragon is behind this and together with Tori goes there. On the other side, after the queen and Cantal were swept away by the tsunami. Soon, the queen gains consciousness and notices a ship above her. She gets on it and witnesses that it is filled with villagers. She is ready to eat them, but first, she wants to go to her children. However, Thanza also climbs up the ship and is ready to fight her. But against the queen, he is no match. As she is about to kill him, Shindo arrives. The queen too in shock to witness her alive. We go a few minutes back when Shindo was thrown away into the ocean. However, after the water receded she was able to revive. Shindo takes out her sword and fights the queen. But she is too taken out. After she dies, the queen is about to kill Thanza. But she is suddenly hit by a bullet. Because the ship come close to the shore, trapped Hakozaki was able to hit her. Thanza lifts his sword and deals the final blow. However, because of the strong current, the ship is heading towards the lava. Everyone is in panic, so Thanza comes forward and uses his strength to prevent the ship from burning. But in the process dies. On the other side, Yotsuya and Tori on their way up finds Raji, the sailor from earlier. He tells him to immediately leave or else he will die. After telling him, they go up. They finally reach the top and notice the dragon. Tori immediately charges, but the dragon unleashes a powerful fire attack. Tori dies. Seeing there is no chance to win against the dragon, Yotsuya runs away and starts thinking of a plan. On the way, he sees Raji is still there, so he violently takes him and runs. Raji believes his identity has been exposed and compliments Yotsuya for finding he is behind all this. Yotsuya drops him and is surprised. Looking at the face, Raji is surprised as well. Yotsuya didn't know about him at all. But now he knows it and he is extremely furious that he is behind all the killings. Raji starts casting a spell, and Yotsuya charges. However, the magic is so powerful, that Yotsuya dies immediately. He revives and gets behind the rock. Tori also arrives and attacks, but the bishop dodges it, and freezes both of them. Raji then heads toward the castle and upon reaching, attacks Oyo. Oyo dodges it and runs for her safety. but Raji chases after her and unleashes an attack. But just then, Yotsuya comes and blocks the attack. He holds Oyu's hand, and combining her magic power, he uses the creature's glove to stop him. From behind, Tori attacks, but Raji is still alive and escapes with another dragon. At the temple, Yana notices a magic circle drawn. She recognizes that it is the reason, which is forcing the dragon to drain their life force. She erases it. And the dragon stops draining the life force and heads back inside the volcano. Away from the shore, Cantle is still alive. He notices a person riding a dragon and calls for help. However, Raji is hit by a sudden attack. The water below starts to freeze and he falls on it. It is Fatina who did it. The next day, after everything is solved, they finally offer Jif and Buffon at Vake de Mania and their quest is complete. The game master appears and congratulates them. As for the reward, he asks Tori what he wants to know. Tori didn't even think for a moment and asked what was Raji doing. The game master tells that he was reviving the dragon. And after answering it, he leaves. Back in the real world, Yotsuya is starting to connect the latest events with the vision they were shown about the dragon. The game master appears and tells him that soon he is going to meet the sixth member. And after she leaves, he soon receives a call. He picks up the call and heads to the location. The place is near Yotsuya's previous school. On reaching, he notices a blonde-haired girl surrounded by his friends. The girl's name is Glenda and she is a foreigner. She has come here looking for Yotsuya after a small girl told her so. Yotsuya understands the little girl was the game master. Since Yotsuya's grandfather's home is nearby, they head there to talk. After talking, he understands that just like his party members, there were 4 more heroes that had visited the other world. Glenda came to know about them by watching the videos the heroes were posting to share their experience. Among the 4 heroes, Glenda liked the French woman, so she kept updated with the things she shared about her quest. However, after the completion of the 4th quest, the French woman stopped posting the videos and later found out she died of heart failure. And when Glenda tried to ask the other heroes using the comment section, she didn't receive any reply and they also stopped posting the videos. Yotsuya suspects they all were unable to complete the 5th quest, and as a result, died. Glenda is very interested in filmmaking, and just like the former heroes did, she wants to make a short film about Yotsuya and his party members, as it will help them reach a wider audience and interact with those who might be visiting the other world. Yotsuya agrees, and after some time, his friends along with Shindo and Hakozaki arrive at the location. Glenda has brought her filmmaking gear and after some time she starts shooting the film. The purpose is to create a similar scenario as happened with them in the other world. After hours of work, the film is finally completed. They upload it on social media and wait to get a response. 10 days later, someone finally comments about him being visited a similar place to the film. Soon after, they are summoned and Glenda gets the role of a warrior with a specialty in axe. This means that apart from Yotsuya everyone is a warrior. And Yotsuya is not at all happy with it. The game master gives them their 6th quest. This time they have 2 options. First is to reduce rainbow stare addiction in the kingdom of Glodia to less than 3% within 90 days. And second is to stop the destruction of the village of Zagroth within 30 days. It is up to the heroes to choose the desired quest. Yotsuya knows even though the 2nd quest sounds simple, just like earlier they might have to find more details and spend more time on it. So he decides to choose the first option. However, before he could tell, Tori picks the 2nd option and the game master agrees. Yotsuya is pissed and they both starts to argue about it. Shindo tells them to stop because they cannot do anything now. Without wasting any more time they go to Courtenay to ask Kaabel about the village of Zagroth. They walk inside the city and notice everything seems very different. They reach Kaabel's home and notice her. However, the woman is Kaabel's daughter. She reveals about the death of her mother. Everyone is sad on hearing this. It has been 17 years since the heroes last came. She expresses how much her mother loved to tell the stories about her adventure with the heroes. On knowing they want to go to Zagroth, she gives them the information and finds a wagon heading there. On the way, Yotsuya is sad on remembering Kaabel. All this time he only used her for the quest and never thought of her like she did of him. The next day, the heroes reaches the forest separating Zagroth and continue the journey by walking. On the way, they find a goblin. Everyone takes out their weapons and goes to defeat him. However, this goblin is much stronger than the ones they have encountered. The goblin is easily able to withstand magic and physical attacks. After killing Tori, he tries to attack Hakozaki and Yuka, But just in time Glenda from behind kills him. Yotsuya is curious, so he uses his chef skill and finds out the goblin was a D-level threat. He is surprised because usually, they are F rank, which is also the weakest. But in this forest, it seems there are stronger monsters. They all split up and start finding the village before the sun sets. Hakozaki and Glenda come across a house next to a graveyard. They enter the home and find a terrified young girl holding a knife. After seeing they are the heroes, Jesby, the young girl drops the knife and reveals the reason she was hiding. After everyone arrives, they talk with her and find out that the villagers are after her life, and that's why she was hiding in the house away from the village. Jesby points at a mountain-like tower and reveals that the Zagroth village is over there. Because she is terrified to go there, she refuses to accompany them. Yotsuya understands and didn't force her. The next day, the heroes decide to leave after having breakfast. Jesby has been living here for a few days and is familiar with the surroundings. So she volunteers to go to the forest to find the ingredients. After some time, a man who seems to be a monster appears. Jesby, who just returned, is in shock to witness that the man is her father. Yotsuya notices a snake-like monster attached to the forehead and immediately understands that it is the parasite that players in the comment section of their film were talking about. One of the players revealed that the only way to destroy the parasite is by burning it. Jesby cannot accept it and tries to help her father. But Yotsuya stops her and explains that her father is long gone. Without wasting any time, he cuts the parasite in half and later burns it. Jesby collapses after witnessing her father's death. They take her to the house and wait for her to gain consciousness. After she wakes up, she decides to guide them to the village. After traveling through the river, they reach a passage covered with a rock. After removing it, they enter it and continue to walk. The cave is filled with bats which somehow have high stats. The heroes carefully move without waking them up. The village is half a day far, so they decide to rest for some time. Jesby reveals that the monsters surrounding her village suddenly became stronger and started attacking them. To find a safer place, the village chief decided to send a bunch of old people on a journey. Because the risk was high, her father and Dan, a villager, tried to convince the chief to stop the journey. But the chief didn't like it and sent both of them on the journey as well. The purpose of the journey was more than finding a safer place. Because of the increase in monster attacks, their food supply was depleting. And to provide food for the younger people, the chief decided to get rid of some people who are old and don't contribute to the village. After her father went on the journey, her mother got ill and she had to take care of her little brother. Jesby decided to search for her father, but when she came across him, she found out he had been living in a house this entire time. When she tried to convince him, her father refused to go back because the chief would execute both of them. But despite it, the next day he went anyway to convince the chief. However, ever since then she never met him again until today. She didn't return to the village of fear that her father failed to convince the chief and got executed. But now, after seeing her father's death by the parasite, she decided to accompany the heroes. After talking, they resume the journey and after some time reaches the end of the cave. Before going out, Jesby goes ahead to check something. After a few seconds, she returns and takes them to the village. On the way, they meet Frock, who is Dan's younger brother. Both Frock and Jesby knew each other since they were kids and are very happy to reunite. They go inside the village, and found out, a few days ago Jesby's mother had passed away. And because her death was so tormenting, her brother, Lana, went into a shock. Jesby is very emotional to witness her brother's condition. Outside the home, Glenda and Yotsuya go to take a look at the village. On the way, a young girl approaches them and is furious to see the heroes in her village. The young girl is Iris, the granddaughter of the village's chief. Yotsuya and Glenda are surprised to witness an unexpected reaction and decide to meet the chief. At the mansion, the chief shows his appreciation to meet the heroes. But he tells them that they shouldn't have come here because this village is in peace and doesn't need any outside assistance. Yotsuya asks about the monsters that were attacking the village. But on listening to this, the chief is surprised and asks the person who told them. Yotsuya realizes he made a mistake but didn't reveal who it is. However, Iris reveals that it was Jesby because she saw her coming outside of the cave with the heroes. The chief didn't react much and shows his sympathy toward Jesby for losing both of her parents. As for the monsters, he tells the heroes to not worry as he has prepared a plan to counter them. Yotsuya asks about it, so the chief takes them both to the basement. He guides them to the room, and after they enter it, he traps them. Before leaving, he thanks them for bringing back Jesby. Yotsuya is worried and demands what are his intentions. but the chief didn't answer him and left. From there, the chief goes to Frock's house where the rest of the heroes are. Frock gets in front of Jesby and tells the chief to leave her alone. But to his surprise, the chief reveals that he is here to forgive her. Everyone is relaxed and believes that Yotsuya and Glenda were successful in convincing the chief. Shindo asks about their whereabouts, so the chief tells them to follow him. However, as soon as they left, the guards arrest Jesby and take her to the mansion. On the other side, everyone starts to find it suspicious because they are heading to the forest away from the village. However, it is too late because the chief cut the bridge's ropes. The heroes are in shock and demand what are his intentions. The chief tells them that he doesn't need the heroes and can solve his village matter by himself. A sudden monstrous scream occurs and the chief looks in the direction. Using this opportunity, Shindo uses her wind magic and knocks him down. After climbing back up, they tie up the chief and go to his mansion. When they arrive, many villagers have gathered in front and are worried about the monster scream they just heard. On seeing the chief tied up, the villagers are surprised and ask the reason. Chief in his defense explains that the heroes are here to hurt the village. Surprisingly, the villagers believe the chief and start demanding the heroes leave the village. Soon, Jesby with the guards arrives. Frock comes from behind and takes down the guards, but he is soon overpowered and arrested too. Frock's mother came to his rescue. But the chief orders the villagers to arrest and send her to the prison alongside Jesby. The villagers fear that if they don't listen to the chief, they will too send on the journey. So they start forcing her to go. Tori is pissed to see the villagers hurting Frock and his mother. So he just beats all of them to a pulp. Even though he knows about the penalty for hurting humans, he still keeps beating them until he is satisfied. And just as expected, his rank decreases to 3. When they go inside the mansion to free Yotsuya and Glenda, they are surprised to know Iris, after seeing her grandpa getting beaten, had thrown the cell key into the well. Outside, after Frock's mother and Jesby head back to their home, he notices a huge snake-like monster approaching the village. So he rushes inside to alert the heroes. The heroes are in shock to witness the largest monster they have ever seen. And to make the matter worse, smaller monsters are also entering the village. The chief is devastated to know the situation. He fears his position will be lost if there will be no village to protect. Suddenly the floor beneath them starts to shake heavily. They suspect the monsters have already arrived, so they take out their weapons. Fortunately, it's Glenda and Yotsuya. They also notice the situation and are worried because even the smaller monsters have insanely high stats. Everyone asks Yotsuya if he has a plan. Currently, Yotsuya is thinking about whether they have to prevent the whole village from destruction or just the villagers. Considering the current strength of the heroes, Yotsuya knows they cannot last against the monsters. So he decides to evacuate the villagers using a safe passage. Frock understands what he has to do, so he immediately heads out to bring the villagers here. But because the cave they earlier came from is surrounded by the monsters, he asks the chief if knows any other passage. The chief takes them to the dried up well next to his mansion, which is extremely deep. Hakozaki believes that the bottom might connect with the cave they come from. However, the well is so deep that it is extremely hard to find if it's even worth it or not. So, she volunteers to go down to confirm the situation. Yotsuya agrees and she jumps. Luckily the well is connected by the cave and Yotsuya is notified. After he listened to the impact noise, he estimates the well's depth to be around 40 meters. And accordingly, they start creating a ladder for the evacuation. However, the monsters have arrived inside the village and now attacking the buildings and villagers. The huge monster is using his poisonous breath to melt everything near him. Frock with Jesby and her brother go to the heroes and climb down the well. While Iris is climbing down, she accidentally slips and falls. Luckily, Hakozaki is there to save her. The chief is very grateful and apologizes for his previous actions. After almost everyone has climbed down, Yotsuya with others heads to the well. However, before they could make it, the ladder is destroyed by the monsters. With no other choice, they decide to jump off. Yotsuya notices that the monsters are acting like someone is controlling them. Because instead of only the villagers, they are destroying every building in the village. He also jumps and after he revives, they continue walking ahead. By the next day, they are out of the cave. Tori raises doubt about their quest being failed as they didn't manage to save the village and also let many villagers die. Yotsuya doesn't think so because they all are still alive. It probably means as long as even a single villager is alive, their quest is intact. After walking for some time, Iris is tired and doesn't want to walk anymore. Yotsuya tells that they cannot rest yet because the monsters might still be coming after them. So, Tori gives her a piggyback ride. They come across a path, which seems to be used by a bunch of people. They don't know whether it is goblins or humans. So just to be cautious, Yotsuya and Glenda go ahead to check for safety, while the others rest here. On going further, they come across a settlement that looks abandoned. However, they soon realize it is not. On the other side, while others are resting, Tori notices a leaf falling. He looks up and is in shock to witness a bunch of goblins ready to ambush. He immediately saves Iris and the chief. And later with the rest fights them. Yuka takes the others to safety. Shindo and Hakozaki take down one of the goblins. But when Shindo was about to be attacked by another one, her rank increases to 10 and the Game Master spins the wheel. She becomes an elite warrior with a specialty in swords. With her new stats and weapons, she easily defeats every goblin. On the other side, Yuka on the way is about to get attacked by a goblin. However, just in time, Glenda comes to her rescue. Soon, the people from earlier also come. Frock is surprised to see that one of them is his brother. Dan is very happy to reunite. But on knowing their mother died when the monsters attacked, Dan is sad but is also happy to see his brother alive. Later they find out that all the people living in the settlements are the ones who were sent on the journey by the chief. The villagers are not angry at the chief because they understand if they had been in the village, their children and grandchildren would have died of starvation. During dinner, Yotsuya tells the villagers that they should leave this settlement immediately because the monsters seem to be controlled by someone and will soon be arriving here. Dan tells them about a legend her mother used to tell him about a place known as New Eden. It is supposed to be free of any monsters and filled with peace. However, he doesn't know where to find it. The chief added that only those can find New Eden who can sacrifice their life. Jesby suddenly remembers what her parents told her about it. She reveals that the place exists beyond the forest but doesn't recall at which direction. Yotsuya decides to go there, but because the forest is filled with monsters they have to be cautious. Dan also added that while hunting for food, he came across a goblin settlement, from which they have to be cautious. So, the next day they begin the journey. At night, while the villagers are resting, the heroes plan to attack the settlement. The group is split in two, with one defending the villagers, and the rest attacking the settlement. Yotsuya with others goes ahead. They come across the settlement and notice a few goblins guarding it. So, stealthily they first kill the guards and then go to kill the ones who are sleeping. However, on entering the hut, they are surprised to know there is no one. Suddenly, the goblins surround them and attack. The heroes defeat the majority of them, but some of the goblins run away. On the other side, Yuka comes panicking and notifies about the death of the chief. They rush to the situation and find that he has been stabbed. Glenda goes to talk to the villagers. However, they all are shocked as well. Glenda explains that death is certainly caused by a human, and the villagers have a reason to do it so. The villagers are furious and explain that they are not behind it. The next day, Yotsuya and others are filled in about the situation. He decides to first take care of the goblin settlement and take care of this matter after it. Everyone reaches the settlement and the villagers are very happy to see it can be inhabited by them. At night, Glenda gathers everyone in one place and reveals it is Jeka who killed the chief. Because yesterday when she asked about the murder, he was the only one who knew the chief has died as a result of the stabbing, even though she hadn't revealed it. Iris is furious to know the truth and starts hitting him. Jesby tries to calm her down and takes her back to the hut. At night, while Jeka is tied up, the heroes decide what they should do about him. Tori notices Iris heading to the hut in which Jeka is currently. Everyone fears she might do something stupid, so Tori rushes to stop her. However, he is too late, as Jeka is killed by Iris who is now infected by the parasite. Iris mindlessly attacks Tori. Soon everyone arrives and is in shock as well. Yotsuya understands what he has to do, but before him, Tori kills her. Later they burn the body and bury both Jeka and Iris. Suddenly, the villagers are feeling sick. So, Dan notifies Yotsuya. Because only the villager is feeling sick and not the heroes, they immediately suspect that Raji, the dragon bishop, is doing a ritual near this region. Jesby suddenly remembers the direction of New Eden and reveals that it is on the east side of the forest. But, just then a bunch of monsters appear and start attacking. The heroes are alerted and go to fight them while the villagers are taken to safety. One of the goblins is chasing after the villagers. Lana falls off the wood log, so Hakozaki takes on the goblin to buy some time. On the side, Yotsuya and others defeat the monsters, but just then a troll also appears and eats Shindo. And after it, he eats Hakozaki also. But after he is attacked by a sudden wind attack, the troll runs away. We got to know the sudden wind attack was caused by Cantle. Back in the settlement, they all sit and talk. Cantle is now old. He explains that after he was swept away by the tsunami, a woman named Fatina saved him. After killing Raji, he became her pupil and started learning magic. Fatina is a strong magic user and has a hatred toward the Dragon Bishop. Because if dragons are revived, then they pose a great threat to humanity. Together with her, he defeated many dragon bishops. Fatina sensed a dragon bishop near this region, so she sent him to kill it. Cantle also reveals that a few years ago a meteor containing a dragon fragment and the ability to boost magic was crashed here. And ever since then, the monsters surrounding this area have gotten stronger. And to reduce the magic flow, he shows them a magic seed. Without wasting any time, Yotsuya plants the seed. After pouring magic, the seed is turned into a gigantic tree. Yotsuya with Yuka and Tori heads to save Shindo and Hakozaki while Glenda protects the villagers. Using the map, they soon find the troll's location. Tori charges and throws his spear, but he is taken out. Yuka attacks the troll's eye, but after that, she is also taken out. As the troll jumps to attack Yotsuya, Tori revives and kills it from behind. After everyone revives, they find the meteorite next to a waterfall. Because they are outside the forest and to the east, Yotsuya believes the New Eden is above the waterfall. He uses the magic seed and uses it to climb up. After they reach the top, they find it's totally dusted. Everyone is disappointed. Yotsuya looks down the waterfall and is very exhausted to know they have to climb down. But he then remembers something the chief said and suddenly jumps. Everyone is in shock. Yotsuya swims deeper and deeper and goes to the backside of the waterfall. After he comes up, he witnesses a totally different settlement inhabited by people. An old man who drifted from outside reveals he used to live in Zagroth. Back outside, Lana, after gaining consciousness, doesn't recall who Jesby is. And no matter how much Jesby convinces him, he is afraid of her. Suddenly, Jesby's eyes start to glow, and before she does something, Glenda catches her. It is revealed that after all this time, Jesby was the Dragon Bishop. And she is the one who infected Iris and her so-called father with the parasite. Jesby acts innocent and demands proof. Glenda reminds the time when they first met Jesby. She was without any care going into the forest to pick up ingredients even though it was filled with strong monsters. And during the time, when they reach the end of the cave, she goes outside to check something, and during it, she planted fabricated memories inside the villagers. She also made Jika kill the chief, after he find it suspicious for Jesby to be one of his villagers. Because after adding her up, the village population was uneven. However, Lana was in shock after he lost her mother, and that's why he was not affected by Jesby's magic. And after coming back to his senses, he knew that he don't know Jesby. After hearing all this, Jesby finally shows her true self. She calls a dragon. And reveals that she made the monsters destroy the village just so she can use their lives for the ritual to revive the crystal dragon. As she tries to attack, Cantle comes and blocks it. After it, she flew toward the meteorite. On the other side, Yotsuya comes back. He explains that the chief told him that people who choose to die are led to New Eden. And that's why he decided to jump. Just then, Jesby arrives. They all are in shock to see her on a dragon. Glenda and Cantle also arrive and reveal that Jesby is the Dragon Bishop. Jesby starts an incantation and orders the nearby monsters to attack. The heroes take out their weapons and are ready to fight. However, the monsters are not after their lives. Instead, they are heading to destroy New Eden. Yotsuya understands that Jesby plans to use New Eden's people's lives to complete the ritual. So without wasting any time, they all stop the monsters. Cantle looks around and notices that every monster except the golems is moving. He finally understands where the magic circle is. Jesby notices Cantle has already found it, so she attacks him. Yotsuya rushes to check for him, and Cantle explains that the magic circles are drawn on the golem. Yotsuya tells everyone, but they are unable to reach the golems because of Iris and the monsters. So, Yotsuya uses his creature's magic to conceal his presence and climbs to Jesby. He kicks her staff and attacks her using his blade. But because of her magic shield, he is not able to deal any damage. Jesby acquires her staff and is about to unleash an attack. But somehow Yotsuya is able to give her a small wound. Jesby finds it pathetic and resumes her incantation. But just then, Yotsuya put the magic seed inside the wound and pour his magic power. Holding her tightly, He jumps off the crystal. After it, the monsters are not in control and the heroes easily defeat them and destroy the magic circles. Yotsuya finally wakes up and notices Jesby is still alive. Before they could ask her anything, she burned herself using her magic. Soon, Fatina arrives and destroys the meteorite. A path to New Eden is opened. The villagers are happy to reunite with their fellow villager. And from now on all the remaining people from Zagroth village will live here. The quest completes, and the game master congratulates them. As for the reward, Glenda asks if a dragon could come to their real world. The game master reveals that there is a hole that connects the two worlds, and it is currently getting larger and larger. Consider liking and subscribing this channel if you enjoyed the recap. Have a wonderful day ahead.